going for it. Who's next? Get anyone else lined up yet? I can prod people. You should try the guys at Mad Jack.
That's on the list. I did record an episode there.
Oh, you did?
The next thing I'm doing, I'm bringing a microphone to the beer fest and just walking around, talking to brewers and drunks.
That'll be a good time. That's a good idea.
It is.
That'll be fun.
So,
that's actually a really good idea.
That's what I...
Be entertaining and a little annoying at the same time.
I guess we'll find out. All right, so I'm recording.
Cool.
All right. Live. So, welcome to... I hope you enjoyed that intro. Welcome to episode 14 of Stories from a Bar. I'm your host, Chris Osborne, and today I am back hanging out at the fantastic Albany Pump Station, home, of course, to C.H. Evans Brewing, and joining me for this episode is actually the head brewer for C.H. Evans, Sam Pagano.
That's me.
Okay. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing well.
And I pronounced that right.
Sam Pagano, you got it.
Biggest fear, and I always forget to ask the guest before I go into the intro.
I like it. You just got to wing it sometimes.
That's exactly. So, first off, thanks for hanging out and taking time for being on the show. I know you've been here all day, right? Already?
Here all day, almost every day.
This is like the happy hour edition. We're recording a little early, actually.
You came at the right times. This is when I'm usually having my beer, so now it works out.
Perfect. Speaking of beers, which one did you decide to go? You got there?
I'm drinking Skyway Sour. This beer has a little bit of a story behind it. So when I started, which is now like a year ago and a week, 2 weeks or so, I've been here now. There's all kinds of projects going around us, as you can see when you drive around. And one of them that I thought was supposed to be underway sooner is the Skyway, which is literally they're taking this Clinton Ave off-ramp from the northbound side and converting it into like a path.
That's right.
Yeah, with trees, and grass or whatever. So I was like, this would be fun to name a beer after, but I didn't realize that that's not starting.
It's years away.
I have no idea. I don't even know if they're doing it anymore, but that was the intention.
I have not heard of anything about that in a while, but I do, yeah.
It never seemed to get on any major news things, but it is talked about, and apparently there was money approved. Yeah, and it was like a $2 million project, and apparently it was approved, but who knows? We're in New York, so.
So I'm drinking the, stuff's in the news and then it disappears.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I went with the Ditch Digger IPA, which is fantastic.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, that name came from all this construction that's around us, which doesn't seem to be going anywhere.
No, this place does seem like it's constantly, at least something around here is constantly being under construction.
At least we know it's for the right things and for some progress. And
there's been a lot of headway made in businesses and just improving the area, which has been awesome to see. I actually learned not that long ago, you are, I'm just going to say second cousins, because that's the easiest way to describe it.
Yep.
With an old childhood buddy of mine that I grew up with.
Yeah.
Who actually is the one that told me, you should talk to Sam at the pump station.
Billy boy, if you're listening to this, come buy some more beer.
I'm sure he won't have any problem if he hears that.
We get a message before this is over.
Like we said, we're here at the pump station, which we'll talk about the pump station a little bit later on. But first, tell me about yourself. This is the first time, maybe the first time we've met, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I drink too much. My memory is not what it used to be.
So, what's your story? Tell me about yourself.
So
you're from the area?
Yeah. I grew up in, most of my family's from Schenectady. I grew up in Colony, New York. South Colony is where I went to high school. Played football in high school. I went to University of Albany. Played football there, studied English.
I was academically terminated from there. So
all right. Well, I got to tell you, that's impressive because it takes a lot because we were darn close.
It didn't take as much as I thought and found out. But, okay.
We were close. But yeah, so I went there for 4 years. After that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do yet and had the opportunity to go.
What were you going to school for? English. Oh, that's right.
Playing football is what I was going to school for, and, I did English as well. But no, so then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, and an opportunity came up to go be a graduate assistant at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut, which is basically you're an assistant coach in exchange for education.
That's cool.
To pursue your master's, and did that for a couple years, and then when I was finished, I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and came home and got into the beer business, and made a few stops from there, but most of them from around this area, and here I am.
So do you have brothers and sisters? Or?
I had one older brother. He passed away in 2004. So like right about when I was leaving high school, an automobile accident.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know.
Yeah, things happen.
Pets?
I wish. I live with my girlfriend, and we have, I should say, she has lots of plants. So I guess you could say there are pets. We're working on a dog when we move to the next spot.
Take it one small step at a time when it comes with something that's alive.
That's right. Let's keep the plants alive first, then we'll work on to the pets.
My girlfriend and I have two beagles, and
so nice.
One's super lazy, which is great, and the other one's hyper.
Well, escape artist, right? Aren't they supposed
the
to
one
be?
is scared as shit to be outside.
All right.
And she got off the leash once and pretty much just ran straight back to her door.
Oh, well, that's good. I feel like, aren't they usually the dogs that just try to disappear?
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
take off?
If the other one got off the leash, I wouldn't see him again.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So, how long have you been here?
So
you mentioned you jumped around a little bit.
Yeah, so I started my career at Brown's Brewing Company in Troy about 8 years ago now. Didn't start as a brewer there. That was actually my first entry into the beer world, and I was actually their first sales rep at the time and packaging assistant, I guess you could give it a fancy title. So I worked there for a couple years. From there I moved on and actually was an assistant brewer here at the pump station for a couple years under Ryan Demler. After a couple years here, I moved on. I was the head brewer at Mad Jack Brewing Company out of the Van Dyke. I was there for, again, a couple years. And then
I really like Mad Jack. They've got some great stuff.
Yeah, it's a cool spot, too. And a lot of people, it kind of seems to fly under the radar. I mean, it's a really old building and old institution, the old jazz club and everything. But it tends to fly under the radar around here, which is kind of a shame because it's just a beautiful spot. Their patio in the summertime is awesome. It overlooks the brew house.
Oh, yeah, and you can, I mean, it's been around a long time.
Yeah,
too.
you know, they got the right brewers in there now, and they have a really good chef now that's doing some creative, consistent food, so they're good. But I was there for a couple years again, and then moved and was the head brewer at City Steam Brewing Company out of Hartford, Connecticut.
So when you wrapped up college, you stayed in Hartford? And
I came home and I moved home.
Oh, all right.
I somehow it's a weird story. Somehow I looped back into Hartford. I grew to love it. My most recent experience in Hartford, but in the past, wasn't totally in love with the city.
I think I've been out to Hartford once when I was like a kid, but I don't really remember it.
Hey, it's got its ups and downs. To me, it reminds me of just a bigger Albany. You know, I mean, that's essentially what it is. It's this big commuting city. Except for here, it's all state workers. There, it's all insurance workers. You know, it's denser. It's the same kind of thing. It has its XL Center. We have our Times Union Center.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so similar, just larger. But I grew to love it a lot, but something about home was just sucking me back. And you know, my family's here. My girlfriend moved out there to Connecticut with me, and her family's all around here. So we knew we didn't want to live, I guess, for a prolonged period in Connecticut.
Yeah.
We didn't want to buy a house in Connecticut, essentially, right?
It's expensive out that way.
It's expensive, yeah. And you know, I like to live in a more rural area that's kind of close to the city. And Albany has that unique. I mean, you go like 10 minutes in any direction, you're in. You can
absolutely.
go to a rural area, and you could kind of do that in Hartford too. But then you know you got to commute in and out of that city, and it's a nightmare compared to here.
One of the things I think is cool about Albany, we're smack dab in the middle of a bunch of major cities.
Oh yeah,
it's like just under a 3-hour train ride away to like Montreal, New York City, Hartford.
Yep. You probably heard it too.
Boston,
You grew up around here, so. You tend to get people, and I find this a lot of people that stay around here and aren't really proactive and making the best of their experience, kind of rag on the area, which I think is so foolish because you're an hour away from the Adirondacks, you're 2 hours away from, a little over 2 hours away from Boston, a little over 2 hours away from New York City. You can get on a train and go to Montreal.
Exactly. I mean, you're a driver or a train ride away from whatever environment type you want to be in, really.
Yeah, and I think it's really a great location. You know, New York's got its faults like any place does, but I came back. So
it's funny. I'm from the area. Moved to South Carolina for 5 or 6 years, and then now I'm back as well.
I hear that a lot. Actually, it's we're not alone.
The only thing I don't like is the winter. But
yeah, winter. You know, for a handful of years I was snowboarding. I haven't in years, and most recently I went with a buddy of mine up to Gore to get back into it, and I was like, this is why you like wintertime. But if you're not, again, if that's not a hobby of yours, winter can suck.
I've gone a few times because I had friends that were into it, so I kind of got into it. Well, funny enough, when I lived in South Carolina, where there's no place to snowboard, so we had to drive to North Carolina.
Oh, really?
Let me ask you this. So the first time you go snowboarding, how much of a disaster was it?
It sucks. Your butt hurts, and if you're not smart, you really will mess up your knees and your face. You catch the front of the board is the worst.
And I remember, I bought a cheap I bought my own stuff because I didn't want to rent it, but I didn't spend a lot. I found cheap stuff somewhere, and that part worked out great. And I go to get on the lift for the first time with my buddy. He's like, I don't want to ride the lift with you. Why?
Oh yeah, that's brutal too.
He's like, you're gonna fall off and take me down. And I'm like, dude, it'll be fine. It can't be that bad. and I fell and took him down with me.
It's bad.
Right down a wooden ramp.
Yep.
So we're off to a good start here.
Well, when I went to Gore recently, I was, I had snowboard in the past, and I was used to getting in on and off lifts, but it's been a while. And first lift we get on, of course, is a 4-person lift. So me and my buddy and 2 strangers. The strangers are like 11-year-old kids that are probably like pros. And I had to turn to them when we got close. I was like, guys, get away from me.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
And I did. Oh, and I went down hard. Yeah.
Having kids so much younger than you.
There's so much.
So much better.
I remember when I was first learning, I thought I was getting good. And then all of a sudden, this like 8-year-old just went whizzing by me backwards on skis. And I was like, all right. There's that.
Yeah, my first experience was tumbling down the mountain, basically, trying to stay away from the side where the trees were. Somehow I just kept drifting towards the trees.
That's important. You don't want to hit the trees.
And then I paid like $20 to take a lesson, and I was fine.
Yeah.
And I was fine from there on out. But
yeah. You're not alone.
It's not something I'll ever forget.
Yeah, people always get nervous their first time. It's like half the people on the mountain it's their first time.
And I didn't pick up skiing because I didn't like the idea of my legs going in 2 different directions.
Yeah. Splits are no fun.
What are some of your hobbies outside of brewing? I know we talked a little bit, so I'm a little prepared.
I mean, I like
snowboarding.
Normal things, yeah. I like to snowboard. I like to read. I really like to cook. I think that's like a big thing in my life is cooking. Yeah. And I'd say it's probably hard to find people in this industry that do what I do that don't enjoy cooking.
I feel like you got to have some kind of
there's
love like or flair for it.
Yeah, and there's just that natural connection between brewing and cooking and combining ingredients to make a flavorful.
You obviously need something to eat while you drink.
Right, yeah, that too. That helps. I play bass guitar as well. I've been playing for years. I always try to phrase I play bass. I'm not a bass player.
What got you interested in playing bass?
When I was young, so I've been playing. I've had a bass guitar since early high school years. I used to love the Red Hot Chili Peppers when I was a kid.
All right.
Up until about Stadium.
Some crazy bass action.
Yeah, Flea was just always cool, and I really love the slap funk side of the bass.
Slapping the bass.
Yeah. I really love that side, and I love like Motown music, and I love just funk in general.
Nice.
I just think the bass is just super interesting. And
I was actually thinking of getting one this summer.
Oh, you should. It's great. They're fun. I really are.
I play guitar a little bit, but I'm like...
You'll pick up then, as long as you can...
I feel like I'd be more into the bass.
Yeah, it's fun. And they go hand in hand. I mean, I have a couple guitars as well. It's fun to switch on and off. But I love the bass. The reverberation and the deep sound. It's just fun.
It's nice to be the guy that sets the beat.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I know a handful of brewers that are also bass players. One of them actually said all brewers are failed musicians.
Nice. Well, all right. I guess you could make an argument for that.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So what are some of your favorite albums?
Oh, wow. Like back in the day, I mean, Mother's Milk was like the best. I used to love that, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love Marcus Miller. Victor Wooten is like probably one of my favorite bass players. He was the bassist from Bela Fleck, Tones.
Yeah.
Just really awesome. I like a variety of different music. I mean, Segue, I love the Temptations. That's like probably one of my favorite bands too.
Some great stuff.
Yeah, stuff that makes you want to move. Basically.
So you went to school for English. Were you ever into writing or anything like that?
I always, part of the reason I did English is it always was more natural to me to have to, maybe read something and write a report. That's a reflection of my ideas. To me, a large part of when you're doing literary studies or anything is pulling out something from the text and, finding a way to say, this is why it's important and here's why. So like arguing a point and defending it.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? And that was always easier to me because there was more bending in the lines than 5 times 4, you know what I mean? Like, where there's an exact answer, this way I can say, and as long as I am articulate enough and can defend it and use enough other points from the text and other sources, you can make it work.
Yeah.
So that was what got me into it. And then when I was studying English, I really did like creative writing. I mean, that's really where it's at.
Nice. Have you been able to do anything with that at all, or is it
Yeah, I have a couple. I have a couple folders that are password protected on my computer.
Okay.
Where I have some old, like poetry and some other stuff. But
we've all been there.
Yeah. I can't say it's ever blossomed into anything that I've put out there.
Drunken college nights where you're reading it with friends and they're like, "That's awesome, this is so great. I'm awesome."
Yeah, that or writing it by yourself and be like, "Geez, I hope my friends never read this when we're drunk."
Well, I go back and read it. Wow, I was depressed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you finished college, not sure what you want to do. How do you get started on the brewing path?
So my father was always did like a little bit of home brewing. Wasn't like super advanced or anything. Bucket homebrew setup. So that was kind of in my head. But also, the more I thought about it, my father had a close friend that owns a bar out in White Lake, which is kind of in between almost Utica and Old Forge.
Okay.
And when we were kids, we'd go up there every summer, maybe a couple times, and to visit the bar, camp around the surrounding area. But we would always have to go to FX Mat, which is where Saranac is made, Utica Club and such, and do the tour. I'd always have to do the tour, and after the tour, my dad would get his beer, and I'd get like my root beer, right? And I used to hate it when I was a kid. Like I hated the smell of beer being made.
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't like it.
I remember, when I first started having a few beers, I'm like, this all just tastes the same.
Yeah.
Like, why do people like this so much?
Yeah.
And now I love it. And now I do a podcast where part of it is
right. Yeah,
coming full circle.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of like where I like looked back and thought subconsciously maybe there was always something being in my head about beer. It's always connection to beer. My family likes beer quite a bit.
That helps.
Yeah, so I always kind of think that was background. And one of the assistant coaches when I was at Trinity, before I got into the business, that was kind of him and I really started getting into this craft beer scene, as it's known. And we'd go to the local package stores, it's called in Connecticut, and do the mixed sixes and mix up, and just start trying stuff. And then we talk about homebrew, and he'd homebrew a batch, and I'd homebrew a batch. We'd try them all, and I think at that point in time it was in my head, but it wasn't something that was feasible yet until I came back home and just was looking for jobs. Like everything sucks. I don't want to do this. I just don't want to do literally any of this, but I wouldn't mind making beer all day. And that's where it started. And then I just started putting myself out there. And I owe so much of where I'm at today to Gary Brown, owner of Brown's Brewing Company, and Greg Stacy, who at the time was, the marketing director, VP, whatever the hell his title was.
Brown's is where you started, right?
Yeah. So like I owe a lot to those guys for one, hiring me, letting me in the industry, but also knowing, when I went on that interview, I even made it clear. I was like, look, I have no experience in sales. I want to be in the brewing industry. My end goal is to be a brewer, and still give me the chance, knowing that I wouldn't be there forever. And so I definitely owe a lot to those guys. And I still enjoy, once a year or so, I see Gary and we hammer back some beers. And Greg, I see, quarterly. We'll say quarterly.
So how tough is it getting started in like the brewing field, at places that are already established, instead of like starting your own place? Just like
starting your own place is instrumental, like so much more challenging.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Least of which is money. You need money. It's weird. When I started, it was kind of at this, I don't want to say early craft. I'm only talking 8 years ago. Craft beer's been around since, depending on how you define craft, since like the late 80s or so.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely been
but when I started, there was
exponentially.
more of an opportunity to kind of get in with little to no experience, as long as there was somebody above you. I mean, when I started here as an assistant, I had no formal experience brewing on anything, other than homebrew batches, which is still a lot of similarities, but still drastically different. And
what's it like to go from a home brew straight to like a big?
It's kind of scary. I mean, the process is the same. Takes the same amount of time, really. Some systems move a lot faster, but it's just scary because you have lots of big equipment, lots of pressure. Like little physical PSI, like in these tanks.
Yeah.
There's gas. You could have a CO2 leak in a cooler, kill yourself, and never even know. You're instead of boiling a 5-gallon pot that you can pull off the flame when a boiler is about to start, you got 310 gallons. And there's horror stories in the industry too of like them coming over and splashing on people and burning the hell out of people. And the chemicals we use here are not, serious chemicals, as opposed to at home you're using some like unscented non-dish soap to clean my stuff. This is a little different. So I think that part's a little scary, and you're almost like destined to make mistakes too, which kind of adds on to this little bit of fear, I guess, or nervous energy, I guess you could call it. Because I've made some mistakes that were not cool.
Anything real noteworthy?
Yeah, here actually, and that tank over there for Menor 5, which is one you see with the orange ladder against it. We're looking at the backside of it.
I'll have to take some pictures.
Oh yeah, I was squatting down and I was getting ready I was taking off a sample valve. The sample valve is attached to the butterfly valve, which is attached to the tank.
All right.
Right, so the butterfly valve, when that's on, you can open and close. You can allow flow to go out or not. I was talking to Ryan, the head brewer at the time, and I always like to blame him because he was distracting me from my work.
It's always someone else's fault.
It was always his fault. And instead of taking off the sample valve, I accidentally popped off the butterfly valve. If you take that off, the tank's full, there's nothing to stop that liquid from coming out,
man.
right? And it caught me right in the chest. I mean, it like almost slammed me back to the wall. Blasted oatmeal stout everywhere. Ryan, quick thinking, just threw his hand over
so
it.
So beer's just spraying everywhere.
And it didn't drop the yeast off yet, so it was like it was an oatmeal stout. I still remember it was dark beer, it was roasty smelling and yeasty, bready smelling. And Ryan thought quick, put his hand over it to cap it. For a second, he goes, "You're gonna have to get blasted again, bud," because then we had to get the valve ready to do it one more time to get the valve back on. So that wasn't pleasant.
Is the pressure too high to try to sit there with your mouth open and
yeah.
see what you can? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the thought had popped into my head.
Yeah,
but
if you open your mouth on that, it's going to be coming out your ass pretty fast.
So with that, I think I'm going to take just a little pause to get another beer here. So that's all right. And we will be right back. All right, we're back.
Made it
back up the steps. Actually, I think one of the coolest things about this place is the fact that all the beer and the brewing is basically done on the second floor, looking down on everyone.
Yeah, it's intense. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's a little terrifying sometimes.
It's cool because there's not any other places I've been to or have seen that have this kind of setup.
The place is ridiculously unique and really a special spot. Hopefully it stays here for many more years.
And I went with my second ditch digger.
Nice. I went with another sour, you know.
All right, so we were talking about your brewing mishap there.
Yeah, it was a mishap.
So you started at Brown's, you worked at Mad Jack in Schenectady.
I went Browns to here.
Browns to here, okay.
Then to Mad Jack, then to Connecticut, and then back here.
So what was the opportunity in Connecticut?
Well, I mean, every move I'd say I made, other than maybe this last one when I came back home, was, for professional advancement. So when I was here and I went to Mad Jack, it was an opportunity to become a head brewer. And, build the resume and get more experience, get a little bit more money. And then that was the same thing going from Mad Jack to City Steam. City Steam's a large operation. It's larger than this, and they also do a fair amount of contract brewing as well.
Oh, really?
And City Steam, again, when I was there, celebrated their 20 years. So another long-standing brew pub. They're pretty well known around Connecticut. They did distribute here for a little bit, but their beer is the Naughty Nurse, which is basically like an amber ale.
Naughty Nurse. I feel like I've heard it.
Yeah, everyone in Connecticut knows what the Naughty Nurse is. And it was sprinkled up here a little bit, but most of the distribution is in CT. But it was the same thing, just a better opportunity. It's a lot more money because that was a lot bigger operation.
Yeah. Are there differences between brewing and between states or anything like that? I'm just curious. Like regulation-wise?
Oh, yeah. I mean, regulation's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, Connecticut's real screwy. I don't know. There are differences. There's all sorts of differences from, how you have to report your taxes. One of the things I thought was really screwy in Connecticut, and it's really important, right? You have to have clean lines, right? You need a good vessel for your beer to be served to the people. It has to be clean and sanitary. The Brewers Association, right, that backs all the science and all the study behind it, says recommends every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Somehow Connecticut knows better, and you legally have to, or supposed to, clean your lines every single week.
So it's a state law there?
It's a state law. There's a log you have to fill out,
wow.
Which, I mean, I've never seen anyone enforce it. I was only there for a couple of years, but I've never seen anyone enforce it, never heard of anyone enforce it, but it's just mind-blowing to me that this, Puritan New England state is suddenly going to say they know more than the Brewers Association. It was just like a little thing, but it was just so ridiculous. I couldn't understand it. I mean, I guess it's good because you're holding people accountable, but are you holding people accountable? You don't have the money over there to enforce it, it doesn't seem like. It's like, what's the point? I don't know.
when the head brewer spot opened up here, what was it about this position that brought you back? What made you jump at the opportunity?
I didn't look for this position. The position came looking for me, actually.
Really?
Yeah, Neil reached out to me. Just wanted to go a little bit different direction in the brewery and fine-tune things here a little bit. He liked me when I was here as an assistant, and I know they wish they probably could have just kept me the whole time. So it was just an opportunity. He reached out to me, and at first I didn't really want any of it, and then I got more and more intrigued the more we talked. And again, I think the big thing that brought me back is this is home, and I love this place. It's a special place. One that worked here.
Yep.
I used to come to River Rat games all the time. I was a kid with my father.
Man,
We'd come here.
I miss the River Rat games.
Me too. I really do. It's kind of a shame.
Albany Devils.
I wish I could have drew more people, but just I used to come here then. So I've been in this place for years in one way or another, and I want to make sure it stays. So I knew I could help with that.
That's awesome. So in a previous episode, I talked to kind of beer historian Craig Ravina. I actually recorded right where we're sitting.
Mr. Ravina, he's here today.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. I'll team it up for our next history brew.
Nice. And of course, we went into a lot more detail on the pump station.
He goes into detail.
Yeah. It was great because
Craig?
I had my notes, and he's just answering questions before I even asked him, just in his normal story.
Sounds right.
It was great, though. It was a great episode. Go listen to it.
Yeah.
But for anyone that hasn't, what's like a brief synopsis on the C.H. Evans thing? Because it's been around a while.
Yeah, so every Saturday we do these tours through Groupon, and Neil likes to start out with describing the two histories that make this place. So technically our name is C.H. Evans Brewing Company at the Albany Pump Station. That's split into two histories that we both thought were, could be a little confusing marketing, but we thought were very important to the integrity of this location.
Yeah.
C.H. Evans Brewing Company, founded in 1786, massive ale producer in the region. I shouldn't say massive. They produce around 100,000 barrels, which is a lot. In comparison, we produce around 1,000 right now.
Yep.
So compared to this place. Operated, successfully for many years until basically Prohibition. The owner at the time was kind of almost like a staunch libertarian. Governments, coming and messing with my business, screw this, I'm over and done with it. Whereas other breweries would steamroll and do some other things to wait it out. He did not, sold it off. There's a lot of stories of what happened after that, but essentially the whole facility burned to the ground some years later. Gone out of business. In 1999, C.H. Evans IV, Neil, our current owner, decided to open up again in his family name, open a brewery in his family name in this building, which was once the Albany water pumping station.
Yep.
So this building literally pumped water from the Hudson River up Clinton Avenue to Bleecker Reservoir, which is now Bleecker Stadium. For anyone that's been there, that's why it's a bowl like that. And then from there, it was the city's municipal water from like the late 1870s to the late 1920s, when people realized drinking downstream river water from Troy and everywhere else is a bad idea. And then it went over to, they switched their water source to the Alcove Reservoir, which is where we still currently get our brewing and drinking water. And this place just sat vacant until Neil finally convinced the city to sell it to him. Really cool building.
It's one of my favorite buildings in Albany. That's for sure.
It really is. And when he bought it, so where we're sitting in this whole other level where you see the brewery and the steps, that's all the maroon steel. That's what was put in. So this is just a big hollow shell. We still had the original, obviously the brick walls are original. We're on the National Historic Registry. The brick walls are original. The single pane windows are still original, which is kind of unbelievable. Nobody broke them out, threw rocks at them and stuff.
Yeah, that I did not know. That's super impressive.
Yeah, it's cool, except for the fact that it's a lot of money to heat and cool a place. But we knew that was Neil knew that was a cost of business.
You just got to sell some more beer, man.
That's it, yeah. The other original things other than the walls and the windows are the two 20-ton bridge cranes and the original slate tile roof. So our roof's over 140 years old.
Oh, wow, that I didn't know either.
Yeah, Neil actually had to bring in an engineer because people were telling him you're going to have to redo the roof. It's slate. And I guess traditionally slate can be built on still like a wooden frame, which over time moisture would rot out the wood.
Yeah.
But I guess when they brought the gentleman in to look at these, they're actually woven, which you can't really see from here, you can see them outside. They're actually woven with iron, basically. So kind of sewed onto the roof.
That was good thinking on whoever put that
together. It probably cost a fortune back then. I mean, It's great because we haven't had it fixed yet. I mean, we do spring, a couple leaks here and there when it rains really, really heavy. But other than that, it's been pretty good to us. We think that adds a little character.
The leaks?
A little bucket collecting water next to your burger.
When you come back to take over the brewing here, the C.H. Evans name, of course, going back over 200 years, what's it like coming back as the head brewer of a place with that kind of history attached to the name? As opposed to previous places.
I think in terms of like the history of the place, I don't think it's super reflective of the old original brewery, but there is still a 20-year history of this place, right? Of brewing beer here in Albany. And there is something to be said for that. There's certain things that are expected of you, I would never be able to say, hey, Neil, I'm not going to brew kick-ass brown anymore. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. It's our staple beer. It may not be our biggest selling beer anymore, but it's our staple, and it's a name we're known for.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a beer that I created, which is a part of the brewing world. When you go in and you absorb something, you need to set your pride aside a little bit, and you keep doing these things. Granted, I think I made that a better beer, but the changes that I made, I think,
tooting your own horn.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that a lot of brewers will do. They'll say they change this, and it's either for a.
What kind of pressure is that like to keep going something that's established then? And
there's a lot of pressure, I had this big time when I went to City Steam too. Because you're talking 20 years, and in City Steam they had one brewer for 19 years.
Oh wow!
Ron Page, who's actually like a legend in the old brewing community, and there's a fair amount of pressure there. I think what I also love about this and what excited me about taking over both these places was that there's this standard of the two places, but that standard is kind of old school.
Yeah. Right?
And the places needing to be pushed in the new direction while still maintaining some of that old integrity. And I think that's the exciting part is, hey, New England IPAs are dominating the market right now. Why are we not making this? And I can make a good one. Boom. What's our number one selling beer now? Ditch Digger.
Is it?
Yeah, by far.
I was going to ask.
By far. And part of that's
it's
just
quite tasty.
Yeah, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Part of it's just paying attention to the trends, but the other part of it is just, kudos, you've been in business doing it for 20 years, but you have to adapt. With any business.
So what kind of freedom, when you come in, do you have to experiment with new beers?
Thankfully, Neil, in the last place I worked at City Steam, they've both been, do you. And that's what I do. I think at City Steam, my first year, I made like 60 different beers.
Holy shit.
It's not 60 brews, 60 different beers. And people loved it. And, people like, oh, I like that one beer. When are you going to brew it again? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I do have free creativity here. I mean, every single beer I've put my hands in. Even Quackenbush Blonde is a beer that's been here forever. And I honestly think that's our best, one of, if not the best beer on draft right now. And that was a recipe I reformulated from ground up.
I think I'll grab one of those before I leave for sure.
It's great. Just classic Kolsch style ale. Good ingredients make good beer.
So we talked about, of course, the famous Prohibition coming along, basically putting the kibosh on everything. And only recently the C.H. Evans beers have started popping up in other places, right? Since Prohibition for the first time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've done a little bit of selling out of house, kind of just, Neil. So the original C.H. Evans Brew Company is located in Hudson.
Yep.
Neil still has a strong foothold in Hudson, family there, and restaurants and bars and whatnot that still like to carry our beer, right? So we've always had a little bit of a pipeline of beer to Hudson, and sprinkled here and there whatever the brewers personally sold around the area. But since I came in, one of the big things I knew we needed to do was sell more beer, and we signed on with Craft Brewers Guild, which is a local craft beer distributor in the area about a month ago. So you'll be seeing the C.H. Evans sticks out and about on draft around the Capital District and beyond. So
yeah, and if you're out there at other random places, and you see that, certainly give it a try.
Yeah, for sure, please.
So
keep me
keep the Evans name going. What's the personal favorite that you've brewed? Do you have one? Or are they all your children?
No. I definitely make beers. Even people will say I love them. I'm like, I don't like this beer. And that doesn't mean it's bad beer. It just means I don't like it, but I'm not brewing for me, right? One of my personal favorites, I think, is gonna probably either be that blonde recipe, or I really like the Capital Light, which is not an exciting beer. It's a 3.8% American light lager.
Well, sometimes those are the beers you need, just something to sip on and not really
look,
worry.
I'm in this industry. You've been around craft beer. Everything's just loaded with hops or fruit. In the case that I'm drinking right now, it's both of those things. And every once in a while, you just want to take a step back and drink like Grandpa's beer.
Yeah.
But a good one. You know what I mean? One that's got good
Coors
flavor.
Light.
Right. Target beer style, different ingredients, different flavor profile, right? So that is what I'm shooting for, but there's more character to it and a little bit more flavor and locality to it. That really, it's just a great beer. And those beers are hard to mess up on.
Which one was the most popular? You think the Ditch Digger?
Oh, 100%. It's not even close. Yeah, Ditch Digger's most popular. I think number 2 is probably our blonde.
Okay.
That's another thing too about our locations. We are a full service restaurant, and not everyone comes in here. It's a craft beer geek.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We don't serve any other beer but ours. So it is important to always have on that light beer
something comparable to something,
but to still pay attention to it and make it a really good beer, not just make some crappy yellow fizz.
No, you're a business. You want to have something that can serve whatever customer walks in the door.
That's right.
So, what have been some of your favorite opportunities since you've come back and taken over?
To start selling beer out of house. I mean, I think to start distributing in the area is a big deal. It's never been done here, not on this scale that we're pushing for. Something that's really unique about this industry. And I always tell this to people that are out on tap, be cautious who you're checking and stuff around. It's fine, right? You're going to critique things and give it your own jive, but that's still what we do for a living, and just be nice. Be nice about it. You don't have to like it, but don't crucify me. But it's getting beer out there and having people. I work my balls off in this place, and at the end of the day, to see someone enjoy a product is awesome, right?
Yeah.
It's even more cool when I could be sitting at a different bar and see somebody be like, "Oh wow, this kick-ass smell is really good." That's cool. That's pretty rewarding.
Do you have anything special brewing or exciting coming down the pipeline here?
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, the Skyway Sour is going to be rotating. It's a kettle sour, so we basically sour it hot side before we go to a fermenter with lactobacillus, which is similar to what you can get in yogurt.
All right.
Tart, kind of one note tart beer, but we're going to rotate the fruits we put into it. So the first one I have here is with pink guava, but we're going to use whatever, raspberry, apricot, name it. So those will be probably sticking around here, especially since more and more people are asking for sour beer.
Oh, yeah.
What's really unique to this place, in my experiences, craft beer, you can go to a lot of craft beer bars. You're not going to see a lot of Hefeweizens, right? German wheat beer.
No.
You don't see it.
No, you don't really see that.
Well, this place, people like their Hefeweizen. It's a big seller here. I kind of took it off for mid-fall through winter, and...
Complaints?
Yeah. It's annoying. But I love that beer, and I think I make a pretty good one. So we're going to be bringing that back. I'm actually brewing that tomorrow, so that's the grain you see downstairs. We'll have that coming out. I do have some double IPAs and some versions of the Ditch Digger coming out as well. We're going to do a double dry hop version of Ditch Digger.
Oh, really?
Which is ironic because Ditch Digger's always been double dry hop, but that word, DDH, that double dry hop trigger word, man, is huge. So probably be a version of Ditch Digger with just more.
I'm down for giving that a try. That's for sure. Something I'm super excited about coming up in a couple of weeks, the New York Craft Brewers Festival, coming up March 9th at the Desmond Hotel.
Yeah.
You'll be there with the C.H. Evans name.
We will be there.
Any idea what's going to be on tap for people?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring the Skyway Sour with guava, and I'm actually going to bring an individually special hopped keg of Ditch Digger. So I'm going to take Ditch Digger and basically put more hops in the keg.
Oh, all right.
Give it a little extra boost. May bring some crawlers or something of some of our strong ale to sample, but I'm not sure. I may just roll 2 this festival. There's a lot of beer there, so
there's a lot.
Everyone wants to bring a million beers, which is fun, but there's so many beers you end up having to carry so much home.
There's only so much us drunks walking around can drink.
Yeah, that too. You got to run out somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I want to taste as many different beers as possible.
Yeah, that's a great festival. Paul Leone is the executive director of the Brewers Association. He's done an amazing job. I don't know, he's been there 5 years maybe or something like that. Just done a really great job getting New York State beers on the map. And this is a great event because, one, it's celebrating all New York breweries. But, a lot of these beer fests you go to, and there's a dime a dozen. There's so many of them now.
Oh, yeah.
This one is the Brewers, or the owner. one of the two is going to be pouring your beer. So if you've got questions, that's the festival. Go to ask them.
Yep. And I'll be talking to at least someone from the Brewers Association. I've been in touch with them. I'll be walking around my recorder and microphone.
Make sure Paul talks to you.
That's who I've been emailing with.
Yeah, that's Paul. He's a really good guy.
And,
easy to talk to.
So if anyone sees me there walking around, feel free to stop and say hi. Certainly if you hear this before that happens.
So many people are just going to be screaming in your microphone.
We'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to turn it into like an episode or two. We'll see. It'll be an experience.
I think it'll be fun.
It's going to be fun because clearly as the 4 hours go by, I'm going to be more drunk.
Oh, yeah. That's the best part.
Exactly. But I'm curious because I've been to a few Brewfest. What's it like on your side of the table pouring the beer?
My side of the table,
around?
when you go to a lot of beer fests, to listen to the podcast you're going to do sounds like a nightmare. Because that's, it's the same thing. A lot of times when you go to these beer fests, you're traveling, right?
Yep.
So you can only imbibe so much if you want to be responsible, right?
Definitely going to have to pace myself. I'm
it
aware
gets
of that.
tiring over time.
Yeah.
You get a lot of the same questions, same things, but they're good. They're fun. This one's a blast, right? Like, I would never have any qualms going to this one. Some of the other ones that pop, I'd be like, no, I probably won't go, or I'm going to send one of our staff to go or something. I ain't going to that one. This one's really well done. There's a pretty good, mature audience that comes there.
I've been to this one once before, and it was really great.
It's good, and this year they're opening up more rooms so it doesn't get congested.
Nice.
So it's a really good time. I don't even know. There are still tickets available, I believe, but it's going to sell out. So if you haven't bought them yet, you may want to check it out.
Oh, yeah, it usually does.
Yeah,
I bought mine early. I got the VIP one, so I'm in an hour early, baby.
Perfect. That is 4 hours of footage.
I'm just as curious as everyone else to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I'll listen to it.
That's what I like to hear. Spread the word. Spread the word. That was cool. A segment I want to get into, and called Booze in the News. I sent you an article or two. I don't know if you had a chance to check them out, but this one, I wanted to talk about this just because of how fantastic the idea is. And I'm hoping someone local can help me become one of the participants if it happens around this area.
Which one was this?
This is police seek volunteers to drink to excess.
Oh, I saw that. You know what? I didn't read through it here because I saw it online. It was like,
yeah, exactly. Ah! This is an NPR article, so I'm considering it legit.
It's legitimate news.
So, police seek volunteers to drink to excess. And this is an article about one Pennsylvania police department was given 3 lucky volunteers the chance to help train officers. It's that ditch digger. It's 2 of them in like an hour and a half. It's catching up. So, all right, they were looking for volunteers to help train officers in field sobriety tests by drinking a lot. So, police were looking for 3 volunteers, providing the alcohol for them to help train their police officers.
I wonder what that consent form that lawyer had to draft up looked like.
It's pretty hilarious. Don't bother. This was a while ago, only a couple months ago. I feel like they were probably better off just asking a few people they may know, because they put this out there. They only needed 3 people, but they got certainly over 1,500 responses in like a day. And this was in Kutztown Borough Police Department. So, one of my favorite parts that I don't know if this happens or not, but this was in Pennsylvania Dutch country. So I don't know if any Amish people applied in their horse and buggy. And this started me off like down a rabbit hole today, talking with my coworkers. There's obviously DUIs when people are driving motor vehicles. What if in Pennsylvania Dutch country you pull over a drunk Amish person
Hasn't this
in their
happened?
horse and buggy? It's funny. This is what started the rabbit hole. We started looking up like DUIs from people riding horses and things like that. As it turns out, I guess it really just depends on the state and their regulations. A lot of these instances seem to happen in Texas.
Well, go big.
Called riding under the influence. And of course, there's the Florida instance, which I feel like if you ever have a bad idea...
It has its own name, the Florida instance.
Well, I say that because I feel like...
for everything.
Absolutely. If you ever have a bad idea, or have an idea in general, and you wonder if it's bad, just type in your idea and the word Florida.
Yeah.
Because it's happened there.
I can see that.
It's happened there.
Yeah, when I first heard that riding your bike intoxicated was a thing, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm trying to be responsible over here.
Absolutely. And I'd like to think that was the idea behind these people as well. But it seems the one key flaw in their plan of riding their horse home intoxicated was taking the horse down an actual main road or highway. Like, obviously that stands out.
Yeah, right. I know I watched a cops episode once when they arrested some guy that was hammered on like a tractor driving down the road.
There's always the lawnmower, the riding lawnmowers that get busted.
Yep.
That's a DUI.
Bummer.
They, of course, had an overwhelming response. And one of my favorite line in the article, and of course they have to be willing to drink hard liquor to the point of inebriation. So there's no fucking around.
Yeah,
They're not trying to waste time with beer or wine. They're just take shots.
Yep. I'd do it.
And I was joking.
For science.
Like I said, I was talking about this with a buddy at work, and we started joking around. What if this is their way around their limited party budget?
Yeah.
Like they have... You work in an office, or
a couple of pizzas
people,
too.
you usually have a limited budget when it comes to parties and morale.
Yeah.
What if you can fit that stuff under the operations budget as training?
Let's be
and then
efficient.
and then you find the 3 lightest weight drinkers you can find.
Yeah, right. Might have been the case.
This is freaking brilliant.
Yeah, genius. It's good to know that town's in good hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what was it? The post was shared over 1,400 times. All kinds of fun comments and stuff. But let's see. A lot of people asked if there was a spectator area.
Oh, yeah.
That would be fun, too.
That would be fun.
Will this count as credit for my community service? That is a brilliant question.
I just can't imagine, like, the lawyering up the police department had to do to the consent form, you know what I mean?
Well,
someone had to sign off on this.
Oh, absolutely. There's definitely stipulations.
You may die.
First and foremost, you had to have a sober companion to bring you there and home.
Oh, you can't spend the night at the police station?
No.
Bummer.
And
you're not getting drunk enough, right?
No. And the requirement was participants would have to be within the ages of 25 to 40, which everyone over 40 was angry. Of course, be in good health, not have a previous alcohol dependency.
Oh.
Which, I feel like that's the kind of people
they're trying to get you drunk. They don't want you to have tolerance.
Again, it goes back to the cheap date type thing.
You might be honest.
Get the lightest weights they can. So there's more booze for the cops after, when they're off shift, of course.
You might be honest.
I'm going to put this out there. For anyone that knows any local troopers, policemen, or anyone in the Albany or Schenectady area, I'm happy to volunteer if this kind of training goes on. And I would love to turn it into a podcast episode.
All right. I know one. I won't mention his name.
Yeah, don't mention his name. See how they train people on dealing with intoxicated people. I feel like you need to have some kind of range, though.
It's true.
That's why I was really curious about, you're in Pennsylvania, Dutch country. Obviously, there's an Amish population around there. I don't know if Amish people get into alcohol outside of, like, Rumspringa or something like that.
I don't know. I have no idea if Amish drink. I would think go because they're heavily religious, but that doesn't mean anything, I guess. I have no idea. Do the Amish drink? Probably not. I feel like no. I'm sure they do, but they don't. You know, it's like one of those things.
Under the table?
Yeah. Grandpappy's got a bottle of rum under
They're the real moonshiners?
Yeah, right, yeah.
But, like I said, when I was talking about this at work today, and it led me down a rabbit hole of other DUI possibilities outside of car and horse. I think and a buddy told me about a website, Lowering the Bar or something like that. It's basically a website full of hysterical arrest records and law and court cases.
Yeah.
And I found some great stuff. The headline on this one was, another motorized beer cooler DUI.
Oh, like the little coolers riding around on tailgating? Oh,
no. As in, like, they took the bottom of a go-kart with a small motor and the 4 wheels, strapped a cooler on.
Oh, that's not even...
And he's driving it around, steering it with, like, a scooter. This particular one was in Australia.
I thought you were talking about those little coolers that have, like, motor.
No, these guys legitimately sitting on a cooler full of beer, drunk, driving it like it's a go-kart.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
So, a 23-year-old Australian man ended up being fined $500. I found a lot of these ride-in animals while intoxicated stories don't necessarily end in DUIs or DWIs. A lot of other types of fines.
Yeah.
Usually, like, drunk in public, animal abuse, or things like that. There was probably a public urination one in there somewhere.
Yeah. I'm close to a few of those.
Well, you know, it's not public. is it really public urination if it's involuntary?
That's true. That is true. Close there, too.
So, my favorite thing about this one, let's see, there was the 23-year-old Australian man driving his motorized beer cooler, which if you look these up, dude, just do an image search on Google, and it's fantastic.
I'll do that. I used to love to show cops for almost this exact reason. Just watching this
it really is
ridiculous
just them arresting rednecks mostly.
Yeah, sometimes you're just like, what the hell?
So it was considered a motor vehicle in Australia at least. So I don't know what it's like in the States. But he named the cooler Esky, E-S-K-Y.
Sounds Australian.
And it was strapped onto a 50cc engine.
He was cooking on that cooler.
I think it only went like 13 miles an hour.
It's fast for a beer cooler.
That's fast for any motorized cooler.
I never drove a beer cooler that fast.
No, but I kind of want to. Of course, the article also talked about Zambonis. Apparently, America leads the way in drunken Zamboni incidents.
Yeah, I can see that.
I would have thought it was Canada.
Yeah, we probably would have went with Canada too, but
because one of the articles
we have rinks in Florida though, so
that is true.
Sorry, Florida.
A team from Florida might win the Stanley Cup.
Exactly, man.
So,
you know?
But they had a case from like 2015 that said Canadians are catching up with America in drunken Zamboni incidents or something along those lines.
Good.
Like,
At least
how is America America's not in the lead of a lot of things, but for them to be in the lead.
Well, I'm just so glad some other countries applying themselves. Can't let us be number one at everything. You know?
No, absolutely. But this particular beer cooler story mentioned an instance of a Zamboni. A Zamboni under New Jersey law is not considered a motor vehicle. Apparently, there was a drunken Zamboni driver that took the Zamboni through a Burger King drive-thru.
Nice.
And I have to assume this Burger King had to be like right next door to whatever arena was storing the Zamboni, or the cops would have got to him a lot sooner.
Whoppers are life.
He was arrested and charged with the DUI, and from what I can gather, it's because most of the time this is so uncommon enough that the cops don't know what to charge them immediately.
Yeah, at some point in time, I think, all right.
But he got overturned.
Nice.
So he didn't get the DUI, and it was something along the lines because of the judge saying he wasn't like on a highway or throughway and he couldn't carry passengers or something like that. But I've seen those. There's always like a little kid attached.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like it carries a passenger to me.
A little high up passenger.
I mean, if you're trying hard enough, anything can have a passenger on it.
Well, that's the legal system doing what it's intended to do.
But it is New Jersey, the armpit of America, so I suppose anything could go there.
Yeah, Jersey's rough. I'm not a big Jersey guy. Oh, I've been told there's some pretty parts, I just haven't seen them. Sorry, anyone listening from Jersey or Florida.
I'm sure they understand.
Yeah.
The other motorized instrument of transportation I came across was the DUI charge for a driver of a motorized bar stool.
I don't even know what that is.
My initial thought, after I processed that term, motorized bar stool, was an actual full-size bar stool with somehow just a wheel attached to each leg. But it was kind of set up when I did another Google image search, and I highly recommend doing this because you'll laugh. And I'll take some of the pictures and put them on my Instagram. It was basically, they cut the height down, so a bar stool like half the height, and set it up the same way as the cooler, basically the bottom of like a go-kart with the bar stool on it, and like
what the hell would you want to do that
a
for?
scooter handlebar
cool.
To kind of maneuver it.
People got a lot of time on their hands.
They really do, and it was super impressive. And this one was in Ohio. Let me read this one. A man in Ohio, however, may have done more than any other except possibly beer cooler guy, because they referenced that article, to combine the activities of drinking and driving, which are two things you don't want to combine really in any way, shape, or form.
No.
He was charged with driving under the influence after admitting he consumed 15 beers before getting on his motorized bar stool.
At least he was honest.
He was honest. The 28-year-old man was picked up by police, taken to the hospital after a friend called to report an accident.
Oops.
I got a friend who wrecked a bar stool, said the caller in 911 tape. So he called 911 to report this. Tapes that were released, so I didn't get a chance to find the tapes or listen to them, but I need to make that one of my goals. Assuming the caller was referring to a non-vehicular accident inside the bar, the dispatcher asked whether the victim had suffered injuries in a fall. No, the caller explained. He was riding a bar stool, a motorized bar stool.
The drunk one never gets injured, right?
No. If you're a 911 caller in that situation, do you just hang up the phone because you think someone's screwing with you?
I'm sure they would if they weren't like legally obliged not to, because they can't.
I feel like if they
can they? I don't know.
I feel like if they believe it's a joke, they can just say you're abusing the system and hang up on the person.
That's probably. Well, I don't know if they can, because I remember when I was a kid, I was a really bad little kid, and I used to always dial 911, and they'd always say like fart or something like that, and then they would always call back. Man. Oh yeah, I get in trouble for it. Call back.
I never called 911 as a kid. I did call the Nintendo hotline.
Well, that's cool.
900 number, and my brother got blamed for it.
Oh, it was 900, yeah.
Until they realized who was real. My parents finally realized who was actually calling, right. And then I got in trouble.
Fair.
And then the last part of this was one of my favorites. First off, they used the term stool driver, which I feel like could have multiple meanings depending on your train of thought.
I know where my
I started cracking up as soon as I heard that term. Stool driver.
Twice a day.
The stool driver was charged after he told an officer at the hospital that he had been drinking. His injuries were minor, although he told police that the vehicle was capable of traveling at speeds of up to 38 miles an hour.
Damn.
This fucker was flying on a bar stool. I don't think I would want to try that.
I wonder how he got hurt.
I'm curious if he hit something or just fell off. I also think of the Zamboni in the drive-thru, because you are super high above where that ordering speaker has to be.
They had that little clearance bar before they drove through.
Someone had the clearance bar, but I feel like you're going to have to either lean really far down.
Maybe
or
they had one of those little side seats, and the kid hopped out and got the food.
Impressive. I feel like if there was a kid, he would have been in even more trouble.
Yeah.
And that would have been mentioned.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And then, of course, one last article I saw that was super interesting. You've heard the sayings, beer before liquor, never sicker, things like that. This last article I came across, there was a study done in the UK, and this article was from the Register, a UK publication, but the results were actually published in the American Journal of Nutrition or something like that, which is why I thought it was applicable, I'll say. Mm-hmm. And it had some fun British terms, but they did a study. Basically, the thought of beer before wine and you'll be fine, which I hadn't heard, which must be more of a European one, is bullshit.
Beer before wine,
you'll be fine. I've heard the beer before liquor, never sicker, or something like that.
I tend to find that if it's just beer, I'm fine, and if it's anything else, there's a chance you could get sick. I know I've never gotten sick off of wine, but I've gotten drunk off of wine.
Oh yeah, plenty of times.
I mean, like a whole another level of drunk than I get off of beer. Liquor, yeah. Liquor was one of those things I drank a lot when I was younger, and I don't really mess with liquor anymore. It just doesn't do it for me. I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
It depends on what it is, but right now, craft cocktails and craft spirits are huge, and they're coming back and taking a shot at craft beer's popular right now, and I'm like, I don't like those. Yeah, they're cool, they're fancy, there's a lot of creativity and work that goes into making, this whatever shit drink it is. But I don't like something that tastes like something like one thing and then it has hint of booze in it. Yeah. You know what I'm like, I don't like this. But I do like tequila, and I've gotten sick off of tequila.
Yeah. We all have.
Yeah. I will get sick again off of tequila.
All right, I had to take a little pee break there. Those ditch diggers kicking in.
What goes in must come out.
Absolutely. But I'm back, ladder refreshed, and now I have a Quackin' Bush Blonde.
Yeah. So this beer is great. We've been brewing it for years. I totally revamped it when I came in. It's a Kolsch style ale, so, a cold fermented ale. It's brewed with imported. Yeah, it's really nice. It's brewed with imported, floor malted Bohemian Pilsner, a little bit of Vienna malts, and a little bit of Dextrin malt for a little bit of body, but just like a light beer. It's flavorful, it's grainy tasting, it's just really good.
It is quite tasty.
Thank you.
We'll wrap up this article here because there were a few other fun things about it. I thought the way they set up this study, basically proving that whatever saying you have is bullshit.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of volunteers. Did a couple experiments here. In the first experiment, 31 people slurped beer until their breath alcohol concentration, because this is Europe, not blood alcohol level, measured 0.05%, and then they sipped wine until it increased to 0.11, Another handful did the opposite. Another 31 participants repeated the same experiment, consuming wine before beer. So they had one group doing beer wine, one group doing wine beer, and then the control group that just drank specifically one or the other. A week later, they did the same procedure with basically the first group doing the opposite of what they did, wine before beer.
Right.
The second group doing the opposite, beer before wine. The control group drinking just wine. All in all, it was like they had like 100 participants. They asked them to kind of grade their hangovers.
There we go.
Yeah. After each hardcore sesh, as they refer to it, the students were asked to judge how drunk they were on a scale of 0 to 10. They were also quizzed on how bad their hangovers were in a questionnaire, assuming they could see straight. I like the underlying humor they decided to incorporate into this article.
Yeah, right.
And then the researchers from the Witten-Herdecke University in Germany and UK's University of Cambridge, so legit schools, legit overseas schools, analyzed the results and found no special relationship between what order the different types of alcohol were consumed in. And the results were published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition.
Let's go a step further. What type of wine are they drinking? What type of beer? If you were drinking, let's say, like, I don't know, a stout, and then you started drinking, Moscato, which is just like sugary,
that's true.
Sweet.
There's nothing in this about the specific types of beer or wine used.
The sugars, I think, to me, are what get me really hungover, at least in my head. So I drink like a lot of, like high ABV beers, but that are like super sweet as well. Sweet wines.
I'm old enough to the point now where my body just starts to shut down before I even get to a real drunk state. I stop. Stop now.
I don't
go to
think
bed.
I can do that anymore. I know there's been some times in my recent years that I've like tried to be like, I'm just gonna get so drunk, and I'll just pass out.
Even when I've tried, I have not been able to do it. My body's like, just fucking go to bed.
My body, yeah, you're right, and I think that's the thing that happens when you're older if you have a sensible brain.
Which I thank my body for that now.
Yeah, exactly. They're working together. Like, that's enough.
All right, my body's actually watching out for me now instead of me watching out for my body.
Circle of life.
So, using, white wine and lager beer. But still, there's different percentages and different ingredients and things like that. They didn't find any truth to the idea that drinking beer before wine gives you a milder hangover, or the other way around. Again, this isn't about hard liquor, though.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're drinking hard liquor, you're in for a special treat.
I think
anyway.
that just comes to overconsumption. It's easy to rip a bunch of shots with a wine chaser, than it is to drink. I could sit down right now and drink 10 shots of tequila with a little splash of lime afterwards, way faster than I can drink 10 beers. And
then you drink one beer and say it's because you missed.
I should have drank that beer first.
You shouldn't have drank that beer. That's what did it.
Yep. I remember the old thing with wine was like, again, this is non-science. People always complain about sulfites. They put sulfites in wine to kill any wild yeast so that they control fermentation with the specific...
Really?
Yeah, so if you look at your bottle of wine, unless you're drinking a raw wine, which is a natural wine, which you're not really going to find very
I don't know a lot about wine and making, but I do love drinking it.
Well, what they do, I know, right? What they do is they, and again, I'm not a vintner, so I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about either, but essentially cider makers do the same thing, hard cider. They're taking the juice of this fruit, and on the skins of the fruits, there's all kinds of yeasts and bacteria and stuff. And what they do is they then add sulfites to it. That sulfites kills any of that shit, so that they can then pitch a nice wine yeast or whatever, champagne yeast or whatever they're really looking for, and then ferment it out. With sulfites, sometimes what people will blame, like they get flush. Mm-hmm. You see people like flush up, or they get blush when they drink red wine. Some people are allergic to sulfites, so they get a little mild reactions.
Okay.
So I've heard that. I don't know if that really ties into hangover. I mean, I've said it before.
I guess anything's possible.
I've said a lot of things.
We all do.
It's true.
It's true. To wrap up the article, the truth is that drinking too much of any alcoholic drink is likely to result in a hangover. It doesn't matter if the combination or anything like that.
I don't know how much money they spent on it.
I would love to know that. The fact that this was even a legit study.
Yeah.
Only in the UK, because I forgot what the age range was, but it started at 19, where you can drink younger over there anyway. The only reliable way of predicting how miserable you'll feel the next day is by how drunk you feel and whether you are sick. That was a quote. There you are.
Thanks.
Exactly. Thank you, science.
Yeah.
It's nice to know you're out there working for the people. It wraps up fantastically in saying some participants were harmed during this procedure, but eventually bounced back from their hangovers. And, interestingly enough, some of the poor sods, British term I assume, even reported vomiting, of course. Interestingly, this happened more often in the control group, so the people that weren't mixing. So I gather I should drink multiple different kinds of drinks if I'm going to go out.
I'm going to have a little port after this beer.
Exactly. Wrap up with a nice red wine. Yeah. And also, women also threw up more than men in this experiment. I don't know why this was an experiment.
I think they were hoping for different results.
Which brings me to a question. What's your worst hangover? Anything that really stands out?
Yes. I wish if I were a smarter person, I would say yes and point to one instance. But I've had a lot. I'm trying to think what my most recent. Well, every year, so another great beer festival in New York is Tap New York.
Yeah.
I mean, that is literally, Friday, there's a Saturday festival, there's a Sunday festival. It's a whole weekend. Or Saturday, all the brewers stay there, we drink all day, we drink all night, then we wake up and do it again. That's like this hangover where you're like, I must drink more, and then you have to drink through that hangover.
You have to drink through it so you feel better.
Oh, and then Monday comes around, and you're like, fuck, it's really bad. And then also BCTC, Belgium Comes to Cooperstown, which I was a little sad. I just found out today they had to cancel this year's festival, but big festival at Omegang, and it's the same concept.
Oh man, I need to get out to Omegang.
It's really good. Been out there. Well, they canceled this year, so I have to get the next year's festival. Oh, the facility itself is awesome.
Yeah, I want to go out there.
Like using it, stuff.
It's only like an hour and a half, or hour and a half.
Probably not even an hour and a half. Yeah. But they do all kinds of.
They've got some good concerts out there during the summer.
Yeah, and they're really cool too. So like some of them they offer you can like camp on the grounds, and that's what Belgium Comes to Cooperstown was like. You literally camp around the beer fest. It's insane.
I got a lot of fun ideas I want to do for this podcast. Some of them involve road trips.
Yeah, that would be a good one to go to.
So let's wrap up. Oh yeah, what was bad hangover experience? Anything that stands out?
I'm going to say after every single year that I've gone to Tap New York, it's literally I'm miserable for that week after. Same thing with Belgium Comes to Cooperstown. It's just really, really bad. I have to say my most recent one, I know you did Kevin Mullen, a friend of mine over at Rare Form.
Oh yeah, Kevin's a cool guy.
We had a lot of fun at Tap New York. We drank a little bit too much, and that was literally, I don't think I came back to my normal self until like Thursday the next week.
Nice. That's impressive.
I'm still not at the point where it's like fun to talk about. It's like, no, it was pretty bad.
There was a New Year's where I hung out with a buddy and his significant other at the time. We ended up going to a party, a bunch of her friends that I didn't know. I don't know if my friend knew any of them. The last thing I remembered was the second bottle of Jaeger coming out. At some point when the ball was dropping.
My mouth just watered in that.
And then waking up the next morning, and he's like, dude, you fucking threw up in the cat box.
Nice. Well, that's good response.
I'm like, okay, where are my pants?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, yep.
So he had to fill me in between those time periods.
At least you went in the litter box.
It's true. You can scoop that out.
Yeah, right. Clumped up.
Yeah.
The next morning.
If that doesn't clump, you're buying shitty cat litter.
I've thrown up in worse places.
The other highlight he told me was they have the big receptacle bin for garbage at the bottom of the staircase before walking up to their apartment at the time. He said, I stopped, flipped open the lid, hovered over it, and then went to the side and puked on the ground instead.
Maybe you needed the smell of a dumpster to initiate the throw.
I needed the motivation.
Yeah. At least you didn't go in the dumpster.
So that's always one of my favorites. All right, let's wrap this up with some listener questions because I had 3 of them actually.
Cool.
I don't know who this guy is, but he knows you. Someone who goes by Room and Garden on Instagram.
That son of a bitch.
I saw
one of my best friends.
Okay. I had a question for Sam. How are you able to brew such delicious and sought-after beer, knowing very well I started over you in high school lacrosse that season?
Honestly, I don't want to talk about it. John, he's one of my best friends. He's basically a brother of mine. I've known my whole life, and it's true. John is the super talented musician, right? You wouldn't peg him for being the athlete.
Okay.
I like to say that the old coach back in the day had a vendetta against me because he did. And he did start John over me for a few games. And that was not cool. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
30s.
I'm glad I could bring that up.
He's such an asshole.
I sure he'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anthony Rossi from Video Game Crosstalk Podcast says, I haven't been to the pump station since the renovation. What are your favorite items on the new menu? It's a good question.
Oh, man, there's so many.
And, of course, anyone out there who doesn't follow the pump station on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you're missing out on a lot of awesome pictures of the fantastic-looking dishes that they put.
Hey, thank you, because I run all our social media as well.
Do you?
Yeah,
so
that's
fantastic.
all me, yeah.
So when I'm hitting like, I know who's saying it.
That's me,
okay.
and I was when I posted it. And no one will ever beat me to the first like, because I post it and immediately switch over to my account.
I've noticed your name on a lot of likes.
I like everyone. You got to give yourself some credit. Yeah, there's so many. I got to give a good plug. We hired Ian O'Leary, who's our head chef, I don't know, 3 months now or so ago. He was a sous chef at New World Bistro. He was the head chef at Ginger Man for a long period of time.
A couple notable places in Albany.
Worked at City Beer Hall, and really, really good. And great business we've had here for 20 years. We desperately needed some attention in a general in the kitchen, and we have one now. He's creative. He's smart. He knows how to train people, and he's having great beer is important, but our business is also serving food and having somebody that's really taken the reins and gotten it not only in the right direction, but elevated it immensely is great. Of the new menu items, which one do I like the best? Well, just yesterday, last week, we ran, this is a special, so I'm kind of cheating. We ran a confit duck fried dumpling, which was out of this world. And there's also some killer specials tonight. So always pay attention to our specials first and foremost, because that's his ability to flex.
All right.
Of the new stuff on the menu, I love the schnitzel. It's kind of traditional, I want to drink and be German. I love German lagers, right?
Yeah.
So I love being able to drink German lagers and just wolf down the schnitzel with this mustard sauce he's got on it. It's unbelievable. And he makes a killer cottage pie, which is never my thing. So for those that don't know me, I'm not a soup guy or a liquid food guy. I mean, I like them and enjoy them, but I'm not going out to a restaurant to buy
I'm going to take, not to interrupt, I'm going to take an action shot to post on Instagram while we're recording the setup here.
But yeah, I mean, the cottage pie is great. Ian uses, so the farmer that comes and takes our grain owns a farm called Lazy Ace Farm out in Schaghticoke, New York. Okay. He raises cattle for feed. We actually buy back a whole cow every month or so, break it down. Ian uses all the bones and everything to make a demi-glace that we use in a lot of dishes. He also uses some of that beef in the cottage pie, which is just fantastic. And it's so good, and it's awesome because it's kind of full circle with the food. It's a business-to-business kind of relationship, and it's really, really good. And again, I can't stress enough, all the menu items I think are great, but the specials, really pay attention to the specials now.
Specials
back in the day, it was kind of here's a burger with bacon on it. It wasn't that inventive, and it is now.
The Beer Fest coming up at the Desmond. There's a few places that have food. Are you guys going to have something?
Yeah, we'll be there with food. The Desmond, again, it's not. Don't come to fill yourself up.
No.
You get a little nosh.
It's more about the beer and with a few snacks.
Yeah, and a couple nosh. It's kind of a little way to
have something solid in your stomach.
And allow us to cross promote, if that's what we do as well, which we do. And Ian's going to become this year. I'm not sure what we're bringing this year yet. We've been talking around a lot of ideas. We've been talking about making biscotti with the spent grain.
Oh, wow.
So we're toying around with that and some other things. We haven't really decided yet. It's kind of going to be that week, pull the trigger and do something. But for those of you that want to meet Ian and myself, we'll both be there. Our head chef will be slinging food samples.
Yeah, definitely stop by the pump station table and
for sure,
say hi to Sam and Ian.
Yep, Ian.
All right.
Yeah. both good.
Fantastic. And the last listener question, which this would have been awkward if I didn't know that you already knew this person. Aaron Sturdamont from Horror with Sir Sturdy podcast. How do you know Aaron again?
So me and Room and Garden, that one listener, and my other friend Will, basically we've been best friends forever. And Will's parents have close connection with Aaron's family. Okay. And that's how I first met Aaron. We also grew up together in Colony as well. Aaron's a good dude, and I know Aaron was looking for local horror beers because he runs his podcast. Yeah. And Aaron, I don't have a horror beer. Well, it depends on your definition of horror. In the fall, I do Sammy's Pumpkin Patch. So
pumpkin beers.
Break it down.
See, it seems like it could. If you're going to find them, it would be seasonal.
Yeah. I
was talking about this before we recorded. I was on an episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy, Aaron's podcast there, talking about the fantastic movie Army of Darkness. Mm-hmm. Third movie in the Evil Dead trilogy, of course.
I haven't watched that.
Oh man, you are. Just go back and watch it. It was funny to prepare.
Just watch all of them.
You should. But I went back and watched Army of Darkness. Yeah. I watched Army of Darkness twice going into it to prepare for the podcast because I hadn't seen it in years. Like, this is just as fucking fantastic as I remember.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. It's always nice diving into movies.
But I was in the Latham Beverage last week, and I actually saw an Evil Dead Red Dead Ale or something like that, which wasn't actually officially associated with the Army of Darkness or Evil Dead names. But I'm like, oh man, that would have been so freaking perfect. And then I bought something else instead.
There it is.
So I don't know who made it, but I definitely should have tried it.
Oh, that's funny.
But Aaron's comments, not really a question, and you'll hear why I thought this was going to be awkward. Make sure you tell Sam I love him.
Oh, Aaron, that's so sweet. I love you too. Long time no see, brother.
Exactly. All right, and that's a lovely way to wrap up the podcast. So that's going to do it for this episode. Sam, thanks for hanging out.
Thanks for having me.
Taking the time to have some beers, tell some fun stories, tell me about the pump station and everything.
Yeah, man, you got it. Appreciate it.
And where else was I? A big thank you to you, of course, for joining me. A big thank you to anyone out there that listens to this, is going to listen to this. Be sure to check out the pump station in person, first and foremost. And, of course, follow them on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Sam apparently does all the social media stuff, so he would love to see that.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will start.
I'm tooting it for you, buddy. We're best friends now.
Yeah.
And a big thank you. I just said a big thank you to Sam and the fans, so that's what I was talking about. You can find Stories from a Bar on Facebook. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at StoriesFAB. This Quackenbush Blonde is my third beer in about 2.5 hours or so I'm feeling good.
Just don't have any wine afterwards.
Or
you can have wine.
No, it sounds like if I mix, I'm better off to mix than I am just drinking one type of alcoholic beverage.
That's true.
Thanks to the UK study. Well, I guess you could attribute that to UK-specific beers and wine, though. So I don't know. Anyway, you can find the show on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube. So be sure to subscribe, and even more importantly, leave a fantastic review for the show. Spread the word. Greatly appreciate it. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.